The Oya inside of you represents the change within and without. The changes within us are changes of growth, behavior, and appearance. The change without are your environment, health, friendships/relationships, and what you do for a living. Some of these changes will empower you and some will disempower you. When you're in your Oya energy, you recognize that every change is an opportunity, even the ones that disempower you. Disempowered changes pull us out of our comfort zone. Only outside of our comfort zone is where we can grow. Every time the wind blows, Mother Oya is making her presence known. She's not negotiating or asking for your permission. She come to change things. If you're inside of your home and you hear the wind blowing, sit there in silence and listen. Listen to her voice. As humans, we are creatures of survival. When her winds are calm and gentle, we often don't get the message. Let a tornado or a hurricane come, and we'll hear the message loud and clear. Whenever you're faced with a situation such as a tornado or a hurricane, let Mother Oya know that you are one of hers, then proceed to safety. She will provide you the protection you need as she does her work. Let's talk about the changes within. Let's start off with growth. When we were children, we loved to play with our toys. As we grow, we still love our toys, but our toys just become more expensive. Boys will have fancy toy cars that they would imagine themselves driving, and girls will have pretty dolls that they would play with. Fast forward. As we become adults, those cars become real, and the accessories that are used to put on the dolls, the women now put on themselves. As we become adults, we no longer play with the fancy cars and dolls. We drive fancy cars and become the dolls. Now let's talk about behavior. We have low class, middle class, and upper class, which can be compared to employee, management, and corporate. Let's say you're on a lower class/employment level. At that level, your financial options are limited. They are limited to where you can live, what you can afford, and the amount of help you can provide for others. Now let's say you've upgraded to the middle class/management. That level changes your living, financial, and status situations. As much as we like to convince ourselves that as we come up, we're not going to change, but that's not true. In order for you to grow, there are things you must outgrow. As you move to a higher class, some friends will not be able to relate to your changes. They'll feel as if you now think that you're better than them or forgot where you came from. As you grow, your goals, responsibilities, and the circle of people that you surround yourself with will change regardless if you wanted to or not. You begin to realize that some things that you used to do, you no longer do or have a desire to do. And now, some of the things you do, you may have said you would never do when you were in the lower class. Now let's say you graduated to high class/corporate. There's now the change in your appearance, meaning how you dress and what you drive. Your free time becomes less and the level of respect increases. People will treat you much differently. The higher your status grows, people will no longer refer to you by your first name. They'll either say Mr. or Miss or Sir or Madam. Through each level of class, you'll see the world through a different lens. To maintain each status, you'll have to adapt to the environment. Let's get into appearance. When you're at the lower class/employment level, you have more freedom when it comes to your appearance compared to the middle class management and upper class corporate. Some jobs require uniforms, which makes it easy because you already know what you're going to wear. Some jobs will allow you to wear whatever you want, with minor adjustments, maybe such as boots or hard hats. On that level, you have the freedom when you're in the public eye to dress however you want. No one will care or look at you as if you're out of place. One of the main reasons why the lower class/employment has much more freedom when it comes to their appearance is because of how important they are to the middle class management and the upper class corporate. They do the heavy lifting and the labor that allows the middle class management in the upper class corporate to operate. As you upgrade to middle class/management, your freedom towards your appearance declines. At this level, you are placed in an environment of competition. There are only so many positions at this level, and your peers would not mind taking your position. At this position, you're held at a higher standard. Since this position has a limited amount of spots, you are easily put in the spotlight by your superior. Your actions are always seen, and you are constantly put under evaluation. At this position, you are required to be clean-cut in the work environment. In the public, you still have the freedom to dress however you want, even though staying groomed and the upkeep of your hygiene is required. The next time you drive through the neighborhood of the middle class/management, notice how their homes appear. The upkeep of their homes are usually attended to, and the landscape of their homes are usually beautiful, sometimes outshining the landscape of the upper class/corporate. As you upgrade to upper class/corporate, you give up the freedom of your appearance in the workplace and in public. Around your home, you are free to dress however you want. That's about the only freedom you'll get when it comes to your appearance. That one time that you decide to wear street clothes in public or in the workplace, it will be talked about by everyone. You'll become the center of attention. Let's say a man in that position decides to grow his hair and his beard out while wearing plain clothes, or a female just threw her hair in a ponytail and decided to wear no makeup with plain clothes. Everyone would think that that person is going through a meltdown. Another change would be the limitation of your peers. Most upper class/corporate people will not engage into too many personal conversations with the middle class/management or the lower class/employment. The reason for that is because when you connect with them emotionally, you can easily fall into their energy, and it will have an effect on your position. When you're in your Oya energy, you'll be able to adapt to any change. Change is never comfortable, so you have to learn to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Mother Oya will often make changes that put us in uncomfortable conditions. The reason for this is because she sees our potential even when we don't. No matter how uncomfortable her changes may feel, it's always for a reason. The next time you experience an uncomfortable change, ask Mother Oya the reason for the change and the requirements to get through the process. Make sure your questions are brief, direct, and straight to the point. Then wait for the next time you see or hear her wind blowing. Sit still, be silent, quiet your mind, and she will give you your answers. Your answers may come in the form of thoughts, intuitions, dreams, or signs. No matter how it comes, Mother Oya will make sure that you understand her message. Let's start off with changes outside of you. We'll start off with environments. The next time you're outside and you see the wind blowing, I want you to observe. Notice as leaves, piles of dirt, and other debris are moved from one location to another. That environment becomes changed permanently and can never go back to what it once was. The leaves, piles of dirt, and debris could never be put back in the exact same spot that they were once in. The same thing goes for the outer part of your body. Every 11 months, something on your body changes permanently. Some of the permanent changes are marks, gray hairs, blemishes, balding, new hair growth in certain places, shifting or loss of teeth, weight gain or loss, and wrinkles. Now let's take a look at your personal environment. Every time you clean the inside of your home or attend to the care of the outside, you are making changes. As nature has it, new specks of dust will reappear in your home and new grass and weeds will grow outside of your home. So changes in your schedule or your wallet, if you choose to hire someone, must be created to tend to these tasks. Your environment on the outside is a reflection of your inside. If your bedroom, home, and workplace are messy and unorganized, that means your thinking is messy and unorganized. That can lead to plenty of frustration and roadblocks. When that happens, that's the Oya within you telling you it's time to clean it up. Let's get into health. Unless we're born with health defects or health problems inherited through our family trees, our bodies usually start off as a well-oiled machine. We usually are filled with life and energy from birth until our young adulthood. As we get older, our bodies go through changes, some positive and some negative. Some of these negative changes are decreased energy, obesity, and diseases. As our bodies go through these negative changes, Mother Oya always warns that we need to make changes in our diets or exercise routines. Sickness and being diagnosed with diseases is her way of telling us we're headed in the wrong direction when it comes to our health. Now let's talk about positive changes. As mentioned earlier, we start off full of energy in life. Even though we're healthy, we may not have the look that we want. Some of us may feel too skinny and want to add more muscle mass. In order to achieve that in a healthy way, changes in our diets and exercise routines are also required. Some people may take shortcuts such as steroids and other enhancements. Even though that's still a change, it's not a positive one for your health. If you're coming from a state of bad health and transforming to good health, very uncomfortable changes are required. Sacrificing bad foods and bad habits such as smoking, alcohol, and drug use will preserve your good looks and body functions as you age. The transformation of these changes may be catastrophic in the beginning, but the results will be tremendous. You will look younger and be more fit than your peers, and also be able to do the things that most of them are no longer able to do. Now let's talk about friendships/relationships. Mother Oya is also known to be the watcher over the graveyards. We all know that the graveyard means death. Everything in the third dimension that is given life will also be given death. That's inevitable. In this case, I'm not referring to your body. I'm referring to the friendships/relationships that you have. Let's start off with relationships. No matter how close you are to your family members, significant other, or your friends, each and every relationship has an expiration date. That can end by outgrowing each other, fallouts, or death. Outgrowing one another is usually a slow process, but that doesn't happen overnight, so that change is usually the easiest way of them all. It's very rare that change takes place in relationships, but most of the time it takes place in friendships, but never with family. You are subconsciously weaning yourself away from that relationship, and by the time you consciously, right there I made a typo in the book, but that's okay, realize what has happened, the process is usually completed. Fallouts are different because that's a conscious decision. Fallouts have a lot of emotional effects that comes with it. Fallouts are equivalent to a breakup in a relationship with your significant other. Fallouts come with a great deal of pain, anger, and feelings of betrayal. Sometimes fallouts can be resolved and sometimes it's permanent. No matter what happens, the fallout creates a permanent change in that relationship. That change can make the friendship or relationship stronger, awkward, or obsolete. But either way, changes are made. Physical death is a lot different than the other two because that's permanent. That one hurts the most because the option of repairing any relationship is gone forever. No matter how much you dislike that person, it will have an effect on the way you feel. Good memories will resurface. Thoughts of regret and what could have been done differently will arise. From the birth to the death of every relationship, there are plenty of changes that take place. The lifetime of that relationship will result in times that are good, bad, happy, and sad. Those changes of emotions are part of our human process. Let's go into friendships. Sometimes in order for you to grow, changes have to be made in your friendships. Sometimes the fun you may have with your best friend can put a roadblock on your growth. Let's say you're a 10-year-old student that sits next to your best friend in class. The two of you will constantly want to play around and joke with each other. Too much of that can result in failing grades. Your teacher knows that if changes are not made, the situation will get worse. So the teacher decides to separate the two of you. The change of separation is so the two of you can grow, not to end the friendship. There will be times where you have to temporarily separate yourself from certain friends in order to achieve certain goals. If the change isn't made, it can result in being stuck in the same place. Sometimes you may need to complete a particular goal and your friend's energy doesn't align with yours and requires separation to obtain that goal. The same tactics can be used for a supervisor that is in charge of a large group of employees and a coach that is in charge of a professional sports team. Let's say you are a supervisor and you have your own group of employees. You are expected to reach a certain level of performance every month. Any mistake that are made by your crew, your boss will come down on you, not your employees. Let's say your two best workers are phenomenal when it comes to their job, but feel certain rules don't apply to them. One comes to work whenever he wants to and disrespects authority. The other one is always on his phone and taking unscheduled breaks. In order for the company to grow and reach the numbers that are required, you may have to get rid of your best workers. That will change the flow in the operation, but that change will lead to a better work environment. Now let's say you're the coach of a professional sports team. Let's say your two best players are phenomenal at their positions, but are not team players. One player cares about his personal stats more than the rest of the team, while the other player never shows up for practice, but is always present on game day. You may have to trade those two players for players that are less talented. Your goal is to win a championship. And sometimes your best players are more of a liability than an asset. That change can lead to temporary losses until the team establishes a rhythm. Sometimes to win a championship, you have to remove your best players and make changes to the roster. When you're in your Oya energy, you'll understand why certain changes have to be made, but others may not understand. So always keep in mind that your changes are meant for you to understand, not everyone else.